Hey, it's Mike here, and today let's just quickly get into it. I'm going to be responding to this quote in the sort of anti-vegan conversation by a guy named Tristan.
B12, you know what's crazy too? All those B12 supplements, they use cobalt that are mined by child slaves in Africa.
Yes, a nice Irish dude on my Costa Rica trip that just finished sent me over a clip of that, and it had me wondering, should vegans have the cobalt blues? But after researching, looking at some studies, looking at the actual numbers, and just how the world of cobalt works, I can say that this is going to be debunked pretty hard. Going to get a B12 beat down. And that's where I have to say, this is just an interesting topic. It's an important topic, looking at cobalt, how it's extracted around the world. For example, 75% comes from Congo. Within the Congo, 20% of those mines are not industrial, they're artisanal, which is a ridiculous term for using human labor. And it appears that we have roughly 40,000 children working in these mines in Congo, and some situations where there's adult slavery as well. So this is a horrible issue. I agree with that, but I will say we're going to talk about some different battery technology in a bit, because this is really a battery conversation, as we will see by the numbers. And from those numbers, as we're gonna see, first of all, the vegan B12 footprint is super duper low in comparison to everything else. And then it appears that people who eat meat have their own dietary cobalt footprint, which, as we will see, appears to exceed that of vegan supplements. But let's get right into some numbers. Yes, these vegan supplements are made of cobalamin. Cobalamin has some cobalt in the middle, but it's at less than 1/20th of the weight from this study. Whether we're looking at cyanocobalamin or we're looking at methylcobalamin, which are the two most popular ones, we're talking about 4.3, 4.4% of the weight being cobalt. So if you say have 1,000 microgram supplement of methylcobalamin like I do, then each one of those is 43 micrograms of cobalt itself. And if you're better than me and take it every day, then you're gonna be at about 15 milligrams. It graduates from micrograms to milligrams per year. Not to say that this is meaningless, but we need to put it into perspective because, well, everybody nowadays has a phone, and the average phone has about 5 to 20 grams of cobalt in it, in the battery. To do some calculations, let's just say that we're working with a 10-gram battery on average in terms of the cobalt, and people get a new phone from Statista every 2.5 to 3 years. Let's just bump that up to the 3 years to be fair. So just by having a phone, not counting other batteries, the yearly cobalt usage per person is in and around 3.3 grams, or 3,300 milligrams. So vegans would become 3,315 milligrams. We're talking about a total 0.45% increase in cobalt use over just phone usage. And then don't get me even started on other batteries that are weighed in like the kilograms of cobalt. Let's just get to why this might not even matter in terms of vegans having a higher footprint, because Livestock are also given B12 supplements, as many of you know. And that footprint appears to be higher than the vegan footprint by quite a bit. We've heard that 90% of B12 supplements are given to animals in random blogs. Let's erase that and go to this essentially textbook on vitamins. And their B12 quote is that about 55% of B12 goes to the feed sector, that's the livestock sector, and then we've got 45% going to the food and pharmaceutical sectors. Of that 45%, clearly that is not all vegans. We don't know how that is split. And on top of that, we've got like vanity B12 shots for weight loss, a bunch of other B12 uses. So yeah, the vegans aren't using 45%, but we can just say for sure that the majority is used to feed animals, to grow livestock, and therefore that is a dietary meat footprint. The cobalt footprint from B12 itself is higher from meat eaters as a group than it is from vegans as a group, no question. But it doesn't stop there, because we were just talking about monogastric animals that are fed B12 directly, because ruminant animals are just fed cobalt, which the bacteria, through fermentation, etc., convert into B12 that they can utilize. And that is, a large unknown amount. To this Livestock source, they say, quote, supplemental cobalt must be added to beef and dairy rations. You know, some mediocre sources say that these animals are being overfed cobalt by 10 times as much. So this argument might be a little bit like the plants feel pain argument where, oh no, vegans might as well quit because they're, you know, causing pain to plants. Well, if you're eating animals, those animals are eating a ton of plants, so the actual plant footprint of a meat eater is larger than a vegan, ironically. However, I've yet to meet somebody who's actually made the plants feel pain argument in good faith. It's mostly just a sort of weird gotcha question. But yeah, to summarize here, in terms of the low percentage of B12 that is actually cobalt, comparing that to batteries, and then how most B12 is fed to animals, yeah, this argument has fallen flat on its face. But at this point, I want to say that this whole cobalt as well as lithium issue is huge and needs to be solved, and that's why I have literally been obsessed with sodium-ion batteries for the last year, to the point where I was like, maybe I should start a battery company, but I don't really know about battery chemistries very much. I just have a sustainability degree. You know, I'm not a battery engineer, but in my obsessive research, I've realized that not only do sodium-ion batteries require no lithium, no cobalt, they also don't require copper, which one of the plates in those lithium-ion batteries has to be. Both of them can be aluminum, so you can make it out of recycled aluminum, as well as, you know, one half of it being hard carbon, which is charcoal that can be sourced from like waste from coconut hulls. The only limitation is the energy density isn't going to be quite as high. We'd probably be able to use it in like motorcycles and smaller cars, which could still carve out a huge chunk. Also power walls, that's really the main potential there, which could be huge. You can also ship it at 0 volts, so it's not dangerous. I'm a huge fan. But until I get a vacuum oven and a bunch of random lithium manufacturing equipment, my electric motorcycle conversion is just going to remain, sadly, lithium batteries. And just to be a little bit in defense of lithium, yeah, it's bad. We need to fix the situation, but we can fix that situation a lot easier than we can fix climate change, and we shouldn't be, you know, saying, oh, let's not even fight climate change. Like, this is used often as an excuse to not fight climate change, this footprint of batteries. But once climate change gets to a certain point, like, it's going to become irreversible and do way more damage to these disadvantaged people all around the world. We know that climate change is already disproportionately affecting people of lower socioeconomic status, so we got to tackle the big one. Anyway, because my Costa Rica video got like 0 views because people don't want to watch my travel vlogs, I thought I'd throw out an extra video this week. So here it is, and then later on, probably Friday, I'm going to do a video on, you know, why are we seeing these high rates of colorectal cancer in people under 40 or under 50? We're going to go into the research on that. Until then, let me know what you think down below about this. It's a complicated global cobalt system, so let me know if I missed anything. And of course, feel free to like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one on Friday.